Have you ever experienced a moment when someone speaks to you in a way that you feel is a little bit discriminatory, but you can't quite work out if it is or if it isn't? And so you don't say anything because you feel that you're reading too much into it, or that you think that you're being too sensitive. Or perhaps when you have voiced your opinion, you've been ignored or the other person has become angry. Let me give you an example. You're in the park one day, and someone keeps kicking you on the bum. You say stop, but they take it as a joke and they continue. And so you're feeling harassed and uncomfortable, but you don't know if it is actually sexual assault. So you don't know if you have the right to say anything. Often these uneasy feelings are down to the fact that we're experiencing prejudice in the form of microaggressions. Originally, the term microaggressions was used to define any discriminatory insult directed at Black people from non-Black Americans, and it was coined by the psychiatrist Chester M. Pierce. However, now it's used to define any insult directed at a marginalized group of people. Hi, my name is Emma, and today I would like to raise more awareness on microaggressions, the harm they do, and how we can respond to them. Ever since I was able to read and write, I always use the words mankind and manpower. Our language, whether we realize it or not, is tailored to present men as the dominant and powerful gender. In French, when describing a group of people, we always choose the word ils, even if the ratio of men to women is 1 to 5 or even 1 to 100. Additionally, in French, before 2019, all jobs were not feminicized. For example, if a professor was a female teacher, they would not have allowed to have an E at the end. This shows that in French, a female in a job was essentially invisible in the usage of their language. Now, some could say that there's more precedent things to be dealing with, for example, gender pay gaps. However, sexism that is subtle and systematic could be just as dangerous as sexism that is evident and bold. Let me give you another example. Karen Snyder, the CEO of TEDxYouth, was going to a maths lecture in university. She got there early and 2 men were sitting down. Immediately when she sat down next to them, they asked her if she was in the wrong place. They thought that she was going to a design talk, which was happening next door. They assumed that as a woman, Karen Snyder would not want to go to a maths talk, that she would be more interested in an arts talk. These things don't only happen later on in life, they happen early on. Girls since the age of 13 have probably heard the phrase, that shirt's a little low, or those shorts are very short. And we've even created a polite way of saying it. Are you not cold in that? It's sad that every girl that I've spoken to has experienced this to some extent. However, nothing changes. Parents still have to give this speech to their daughters, in which girls are told to basically expect this happening. Now, I'm not saying that this shouldn't happen. I'm thankful for my parents having this conversation with me. But what I am saying is that in environments such as school, instead of telling girls that they should be the ones to change and implementing a dress code, perhaps we should be teaching boys that they shouldn't see this as acceptable behavior to view women this way. Especially when boys visibly show their underwear, yet this is nearly not discriminated against as much as when a girl simply shows a section of her midriff. Little instances such as this build into big problems, and this is what our society normally focuses on. We focus on gender pay gaps, sexual harassment, and sexual assault, but we never go to the root of the problem. If we simply tell boys that they shouldn't see women as this way, instead of telling girls to cover up, think of the long-term effects it could have on our society. Another example. Metros in Brazil have designated underground areas for women and men. Now, immediately this tells us that the problem is still there and it's still happening. However, this is only a short-term solution. After a while, these problems will still happen and they will start to become more dangerous because we haven't accessed the root of the problem. In order to eradicate discrimination, we need to go to the root of the problem. Perhaps if we do, in the future, there'll be less cases of sexual assault because people will be educated in the right way and will not see this as acceptable behavior. If we stop using weak names such as bitch and blonde to describe women, perhaps women would not be viewed as the dumber gender. If we stop producing movies that portray women as needing a man to save them, perhaps there would be a change in society. And it could even empower women into more job fields that are predominantly run by men. And therefore, job equality starts to balance out. If we look at the example in the beginning, if schools explicitly teach what constitutes as sexual harassment, there would be no gray areas, and it would be easier to respond accordingly in the future. These subliminal messages in our society are the most dangerous yet the simplest to solve. If we simply change our education techniques or our wording, the problem will be minimized and there will be greater awareness of these microaggressions. The Harvard Business Review says that there are 3 ways that someone can react to microaggressions. 1, the victim can let it go. However, this is emotionally draining on the victim, and all of these instances that they simply let go will start to become a bigger problem that they simply can't avoid anymore. 2nd, they can immediately respond. They can call the person into account. However, this runs the risk of them laughing at them, getting aggressive, or labeling them as oversensitive. And thirdly, they can respond later. They can have a private conversation with the person to help them appreciate the impacts of their actions. However, in each of these cases, the pressure is put on the victim to sort it out. How is that right in our society? This is why I'm here raising awareness on these microaggressions. I'm asking all of you to think about the terms that we use and to challenge people's perspectives to look if you have any hidden biases that you do in every day-to-day life. If we all spend 5 to 10 minutes reflecting every day, think of the positive long-term effects it could have on our society.